Good afternoon. Welcome to BYJU'S exam prep. Welcome to your Tuesday editorial analysis. I hope all of you have been preparing hard for CAT and looking forward to it. Today's editorial analysis will help you hopefully do better in your reading comprehension. It will be a practice session for your reading comprehension. I'll show you each slide as always for 40 seconds. I'll summarize the slide for you before we move on to the next session. Alright, so quickly give me a thumbs up if you can see and hear me. I'm visible, I'm audible. Let's start. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Give me a yes. Alright. This is about a political discussion, the role of the governor. Alright. So, what does the editorial say? Two states have approached the Supreme Court of India against the conduct of their governors once again flags the problem of political appointees in Raj Bhavan using their authority to delay the implementation of decisions by elected regimes, if not undermine them. This entire thing is one sentence, it runs 3 lines long. Basically, he is saying 2 states have gone to the Supreme Court. They have complained against governors. And this reflects the problem of having a political appointment. A governor is supposed to be an independent person. And here you have a person with political leaning. So, the fact that 2 states have gone to the Supreme Court and filed complaints against governors shows the problem of having political appointees in the Raj Bhavan. And what are these governors doing? Instead of aiding the governance process, they are delaying the implementation of decisions by the government. Elected regimes means government. Tamil Nadu and Kerala, these are the 2 states, have questioned the delay in granting assent. Assent means to say yes to bills passed by the legislature. Tamil Nadu is also aggrieved, hurt, that proposals relating to grant of remission to some convicts, sanction for prosecution of some former ministers, appointment to the State Public Service Commission have not been acted upon. They have given the governor, they've sent the governor a lot of bills that needs his signature. And the governor has not given it and have delayed. What are the matters? Remission, forgiving some people, or convicting some former ministers. And the third one is appointment to the State Public Service Commission. These have all not been acted upon. Governors need not rubber stamp any decision, but one can question the practice of governors, especially in states not governed by the ruling party, blocking decisions and bills. So the author is asking, well, governors don't have to be rubber stamps, but why are they blocking decisions of governments? That's the first paragraph. Now we know the tone and the content of this editorial. For instance, now the second paragraph is examples. So you can actually quickly read through them. You know the first paragraph well, you don't have to read this really very carefully. If there is a question on this, we'll come back to this. Some governors appear to be very hostile to the very idea of amendments to university laws if they seek to leave out chancellors, invariably the governors themselves, from the process of appointing vice chancellors, establishing new universities in which the governors are not chancellors. The idea of having the governors as ex officio vice chancellors of most universities is only a practice and is actualized through their founding statutes. However, governors seem to be laboring under the misconception that they have a right to be chancellors, and they tend to delay assent to any bills that clips or remove their power. So one aspect on which governors are not acting is if they are removing the governors as chancellors or vice chancellors, or they are opening universities without having the governor as chancellors or vice chancellors. According to the author, this is just a practice. Every university in its statute, when it's founded, in its statute it can decide to have a governor as the chancellor or vice chancellor or not, but governors don't seem to think that. They think it is their right to be that. Alright, it is time to have a national prohibition on governors being burdened with the role of chancellor of any university as recommended by the Justice M.M. Punchi Commission on Center-State Relations. So this is, governor's role is entirely an issue of center-state. Governor is the executive head of the state, and they've in states which are not ruled by the ruling party, at the center there have always been clashes. So there was a commission, the M.M. Punchi Commission on Center-State Relations, where he said remove this whole this whole rule, proposal, whatever you call it, of having the governor as chancellors, then half the problems will be gone. It is unfortunate that in the absence of a time frame for giving assent is used by some governors to stymie laws passed by the legislature. One would have thought that the Supreme Court's observations arising out of the Tamil Nadu government's petition reminding constitutional authorities that the phrase "as soon as possible" appearing in Article 200 of the Constitution contains significant constitutional content would have driven into them a sense of immediacy in considering bills. A fixed time frame has not been given to the governors to give their assent, and for this governors are delaying. The Supreme Court in one of the cases had pointed out that the Constitution says it should be done as soon as possible, but they don't seem to have paid any heed to that. Next slide. What the Constitution meant, what the court meant was, it would be constitutionally impermissible for the governors to indefinitely hold on to the bills without conveying a decision. So it is not permitted in the Constitution that the governor can sit on a bill for as long as he wants. The states too ought to be prudent in their decision making without leaving scope for question on the merit of their decisions. Now, one side, the governor should not interpret the "as soon as possible" clause in any which way he wants, because that would be unconstitutional. The states on their part have to make good laws and good decisions which cannot be open to any kind of challenge. The absence of any laid down process to seek application and assess the relative merits of application before appointing chairperson and members of the Tamil Nadu Public Service Commission is a case in point. So they made a law about the Tamil Nadu Public Service Commission in which there is no proper laid down principles on what kind of people, what kind of assessment should be done for candidates. The larger point is, and this is the author's final say on it, none should forget, no one, court, governor, government of the state, or you and me, should forget that the governors are explicitly restricted in their functioning by the aid and advice clause in the Constitution. The governor doesn't work independently. He has to function on the aid and advice of the cabinet or the executive. That is given in the Constitution, and he should remember that. Ought not to misuse the discretionary space available to them. There are certain areas when they have the discretion to do what they want, and they should not do that. Right? That discretion has been misused by many. True. Right? Yes. All right. So this is what the passage says. We've read it well. We don't have to go back unless there's a specific idea question, right? Question 1. What's the primary purpose of the author? What has the author written? The editor has written this editorial to primarily do what? To highlight, demonstrate, discuss, or describe what? To highlight how governors are overstepping their role and authority, to demonstrate how the popular will is being flouted by elected regimes in their tussle with governors, to discuss the tussle between governors and elected regimes in some states, or to describe the sanctity of the Constitution and steps to prevent its misuse. A, B, C, or D, quickly give me your answer. Is he highlighting governors overstepping their area of authority? Is he demonstrating how popular will is being flouted when governments are fighting with governors? Or is it just to show you the tussle between, or the fight between governors and governments, or elected regimes are governments? or to describe the sanctity of the Constitution and to prevent its misuse. Quickly give me your answers. A, B, C or D. It is not only, so when you get main point answers, there are 4 problems that you have, sorry, let me go back. There are 4 points that you have in a main point question. Does this tell you the whole story of the passage? Is it only about the governor? He's also talking about states. Are governors only responsible for it? No, right? So which is the right answer? It is C. That is right. Alright, to discuss the conflict, he has seemed to take a stronger stand against governors, we agree, but he is not blaming the governor for the conflict. He is not saying governors are overstepping. He is talking about that, but at the same time he is saying states should also take care. They should also make decisions that cannot be open to challenge. So more than A, C completes the tone and overall context, right? Excellent. Question 2. Which of the following can be inferred about the author's view on governors as chancellors? What is the author's view? He has mentioned the provisions, he has mentioned what governors think and what is there. But what can you infer as his view? Governors should be chancellors only in states governed by the ruling party at the center. तब तो कोई problem नहीं होगा. Governors are the ex officio vice chancellors of universities as it is laid down in the constitution. The recommendation of the Punchi Commission on stopping the practice of appointing governors as chancellors of universities must be followed, or is it D, that the recommendations of the Punchi Commission on the role of governors as chancellors must be ignored for the betterment of center-state relations? What do you think he'll agree with? Governors should be chancellors only in the states governed by the ruling party at the center. You have BJP at the center, then those states which have BJP governments can have governors as chancellors. The others, don't worry about it. That should not be there. Is that what he's saying? Second, it's laid down in the constitution, so you better follow it. Is that what he's saying? Or he is saying, let's follow the recommendations of this commission, which said that just get rid of that entire provision? Or is it D, that ignore that so that center-state relations will improve? Give me the question number with the answers, otherwise I won't know whether it's for the previous answer or this, for the previous question or this. Question 2, mention A, B, C or D. Quickly. Is it A, B, C or D? Quickly. Prasanna says 2C. Virendra says it's D. C and D, I'm getting the answers. Is he saying follow or ignore? That's the choice, right? Let's go back. Here. This part, wait, I don't like red. Let me just change it to blue. It is time to have a national prohibition on governors. This is what the author is saying. It is time. That's the author's recommendation. It's time we prohibit governors having the additional burden of being chancellors of universities. So as it was recommended by this Commission on Center-State Relations, let's get rid of the governor's role as vice chancellor. Let's get rid of the provision that the governors can be chancellors or vice chancellors of university. So the author's view is follow the recommendations of the Commission on Center-State Relations. So the correct answer is C. I added center-state relations because I knew some of you may remember only that, which is exactly what a cash question setter does. When we don't have the time, we pick certain words that we remember. This was there in the passage, I better mark it. Okay, don't do that. Don't guess. Don't wildly guess any answer. It will only result in minus marking. Okay. it's better to do 2 questions correct than 4 questions incorrect in the exam. But those, you can read a passage quickly and try to answer at least 2 out of 4 at the end. All right. Which of the following can be concluded from the last lines of the passage? I will show you the last lines before I show you the answer options. So this is the last paragraph of the passage, in which he says, he says that it would be constitutionally impermissible for the governor to indefinitely hold on to bills without conveying the decision. The states ought to be prudent in their decision making without leaving any scope for questions on the merit of their decisions. The absence of any laid down process to seek whatever. Is this the last one, right? Yeah. Like the Tamil Nadu Public Service Commission is an example of a badly made decision. And last, he says, none should forget that the governors are explicitly restricted in their functioning by the aid and advice clause. They cannot function independently. They have to work with the aid and advice of the Constitution, and they should not misuse the discretionary space available to them. All right, so now tell me. The governors are unreasonably restricted by the aid and advice clause. The governors function the governors function, that means they work on the basis of the aid and advice of the government and should use the few discretionary powers they have wisely. Governors often do not function within the limits of the aid and advice clause, or is it D? Governors misuse the discretionary power granted by the Constitution. I am seeing a Prasanna says 3D or 3C? 3D, huh? Okay. Was this the previous answer that you marked or now? 3D, all right. Last few lines. What can you conclude? Virendra says B. Okay, B and D are the 2 answers I've got so far. None should forget. Focus on those lines. Then what's he saying? None should forget that the governors are limited by the aid and advice clause and should not misuse their discretionary space or discretionary powers. So he is saying that they should work according to the aid and advice of the government, of the elected regime, and if they have discretionary powers, they should use it wisely, they should use it properly. Alright, so the correct answer is B. D is not the conclusion for the last few lines. He's not saying they often misuse. That is said at the beginning. They misuse, especially not all governors. Those where the state government is different from the one governed in the center. So the 2 reasons why D is not correct is not all governors misuse. Not always. The governor is a political appointee, thus a central government is where his political leanings lie. So if the state where he is governor is ruled by another party, right, then the issues start. Got it? Like, Arvind Kejriwal has been complaining throughout. Alright, question 4. Which of the following can be inferred from the following lines? We don't have to go back to the passage. In the context of the passage, so you can think of the information and tone given in the passage, but draw your conclusion almost predominantly rather from the given lines. But one can question the practice of governors, especially in states not ruled by the ruling party at the center, blocking decisions and bills. Correct? So this is the line. From this line, what can you infer? The governors of states not governed by the ruling party often block decisions and bills. Can you infer this? Governors in states ruled by the ruling party do not misuse their discretionary powers. The central government causes problems to governors of states not governed by the ruling party at the center, or the governors of states are only rubber stamps and should function as such. What's your answer for question 4? A, B, C, or D? Give me your answers for question 4 quickly. One can question the practice of governors. One is wondering why. Questioning the practice means asking why is it that governors, especially in states ruled by the ruling party, not governed by the ruling party at the center, blocking decisions and bills. What did you mark? A. Okay. Virendra marked A. What do the others mark? The font is very small, so I'm having to. If I open this, I can't see at all. Alright, A. Prasanna also. What about the rest? Quickly. A. A it is. Alright, when you have a different governor from a different party in the state, ruling the state, different party ruling at the center, the governor is generally a political appointee. In those states, those governors delay bills, they do all kinds of things according to the author. What is the assumption implicit in the following lines? What is the basis? What is taken for granted by the author when he says this? What information is contained in these lines? That's how you find out what's an implicit assumption. The idea of having governors as ex officio vice chancellor of most universities is only a practice and is actualized through their founding statutes. So from this, what assumption is implicit? Some universities make governors the ex officio vice chancellors in their founding statutes. Governors acting as ex officio chancellors is not a constitutional provision. Is it A and B? Only A, only B, both A and B, or neither A and B? Neither A nor B. What is your answer for question 5? Question 5, what's your answer? What is the assumption? What is taken for granted when the author says the idea of having governors as ex officio vice chancellors of most universities is only a practice? It's actualized through the founding statutes of the universities. Quickly, let me get your answers for question 5. C, both A and B. Excellent. Yeah, both are correct. The fact that it is not a constitutional provision is correct, and the fact is that since it's not, some are doing that. Excellent. Which of the following is true according to the information given in the passage? Straightforward question. If you remember the passage, you don't have to go back. If you have even the slightest of doubts, refer to the relevant section quickly in the exam. All right. Governors have been blocking government decisions by holding on to bills indefinitely. Governments cannot indefinitely hold on to bills without conveying a decision. The Constitution makes it mandatory to get the governors. Oh, wrong spelling. What's the difference between accent and assent? This should be A-S-S-E-N-T. Alright, and then there is an assent also. Alright, accent. I hope I have a neutral accent so that you don't know. Accenting on something also can mean stress, but yeah, accent generally means the way you speak. Assent is agreement, and last assent means rise. Alright, what's the answer? 6 is B, true. Alright, it is constitutionally impermissible, but they delay. Alright, what course of action does the author recommend for states to avoid a confrontation with the governor? So the governor doesn't delay. What steps should the states do? What course of action would the author agree with? The legislatures should not send controversial bills to the governor for his assent. The state should alert the judiciary of any misuse of discretionary powers by the governor. The state should take well thought out decisions, leaving little scope for anyone to challenge their decisions. The state should not tolerate any challenge to their decision making. Question 7, easy question. Let me see your answers quickly before we move on to the next question. You cannot have the governor, the legislator not sending the constitutional says everywhere. The rule is he is the head of the government. The president is the head of the entire central government. The governor is the head of the state government, but they both are titular heads. They don't have the actual power. So bills are sent to them for them to sign. Only with their signatures the bill becomes a law. So the legislature doesn't have a choice of not sending a bill. I mean, it would love to. Alerting the judiciary cannot happen. They can go and complain if it is an inordinate delay. So I agree that the correct answer is C. Make prudent laws so that they won't be challenged. All right. What is the meaning of rubber stamp? In the expression, governors need not rubber stamp any decision. If you say governors are not rubber stamps, presidents are not rubber stamps, what is the meaning of that expression? What is the meaning of the expression a rubber stamp? To approve something automatically without much consideration, to approve something after much consideration, to informally approve something after much delay, or to formally approve something after much delay. What is the meaning of rubber stamp? Question 8. Yes, a rubber stamp means the stamp that they hit even in, you go to give a check and they just put it. So just look at it, punch, they put it. So that means just sign something without seeing. All right, what's the meaning of prudent? Reckless, sagacious, impulsive, intuitive. What is the synonym or meaning of prudent in the context of the passage? Reckless, sagacious, impulsive, intuitive. Question 9. What is the meaning of prudent? Prudent decision. Prudent means sagacious. Sagacious means wise, well thought out, sensible. Sage. Sage advice means sensible advice. All right. The antonym of undermine. What is the antonym? The word undermine has been given. Undermine the authority of the government, undermine the authority of the governor, whatever. What is the meaning or opposite of undermine? To weaken, to attenuate, to enhance, or to doubt. The opposite or antonym of undermine. Undermine means what and what is its opposite? Question 10. What does undermine mean and what is its opposite? Undermine is to weaken and its opposite is to enhance or strengthen. Stymie, okay, to stymie progress, to stymie development. What is the meaning of the word? What part of speech is it? Is it an adjective meaning help? Is it a verb meaning aid? Is it a noun meaning neglect? Or is it a verb meaning obstruct? To stymie progress, to stymie development. Stymie. Stimi is a verb, so think of, just substitute the word you know. It's a verb and it means to obstruct or to hinder. Excellent, excellent. All right, fill in the blanks with the appropriate prepositions. My grammar for the day. There was one more, but I didn't have the time to make 4 options. The beginning line of the editorial is beautiful. The noun clause has been put the other way around. So I wanted to ask you some modifier question based on that, but then I didn't have time. I said, okay, this is a good fill in the blanks question. I got nicely 4 prepositions in a row, so I thought, let's give this. The states too ought to be prudent, dash their decision making without leaving scope, dash questions, dash the merit, dash their decisions. What is the correct answer for 12? D. Excellent. States ought to be prudent in their decision making, not leave much scope for questions on the merit of their decisions. Excellent. Very happy, because this will be tested in NMAT. If you have not taken NMAT yet, I hope you enjoyed the session. That was a quick session. I'm trying to finish it in half an hour, even if it's 12 questions, and I'm glad you all are answering it fast enough. I declare all of you ready for CAT. All right, as far as reading comprehension is concerned, just time yourself to a little, start working on a couple of passages on other genres. In blank is there in all options. Yes, there is one in all. Right? So if you are planning to join our courses, I hope you do. Take your free trial so you judge our pedagogy before you join. Enroll in our CAT 24 batches. These are our toppers. There were many more. These are the people who sent us their photographs with the highest percentiles, and we put it up for them. I hope to see one of you there. We still have a few more sessions of our crash course. Join us. The last session would be fantastic. We will have an overview of CAT by analyzing the last open mock that we had. Join that so that you have a good idea, a lot of good tips from our CAT toppers. All of the faculty that you see here have lots of experience, and they can advise you, and the last minute strategies and tips may help you get that extra 3, 9 or 12 marks and get a boost on your score. Join our social media channels, any of them or all of them, to get notifications on all our sessions. Thank you. I will see you again very soon. Until then, study hard. All the best for the exam. Talk to you. Bye.